Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is for you. I'm Cyclone. It's time for more Let's Play Train Simulator Classic. Today we are going to be doing the only high-speed train scenario included with the East Coast Main Line Peterborough route. That scenario is going to take us from Peterborough to London King's Cross on an early evening HST service. And then we're going to actually go ahead and take the empty stock to the Bounds Green Depot for stabling, which is, I've not yet been to Bounds Green Depot, unless it was during the training that I might have been there, I don't know. But we're going to find out where Bounds Green Depot is. We're going to stable this train there when we're done. So let's get started. This should be an interesting scenario. Why is there a picture of this one? Proceed south to Peterborough Station, where you are scheduled to make a passenger stop before continuing on to London King's Cross. On arrival at King's Cross, you will be given further instructions to complete your shift. No period. Close this window, continue. Okay, let's move on. And this week's notice indicates that there is a temporary speed restriction, TSR, in place between Brookmans Park and Potter's Bar Station. We know how this works. We're just going to go ahead and skip that. Let's get the train moving. We'll bring the HUD up so you can see what's going on. Reverser never went up. Let's fix that quickly, because that's problematic. And I did push it, just didn't actually lock into place, it looks like. So, very quick note, we are at the end of the route, so this is obviously our train that we're using today. No really labels or anything on the side, so kind of bland and nondescript. So if we look at the back of the route, this is the back of the route. You're going to notice as I zoom into the sky that we see the cornfields, we see another house over here or something, whatever that is. Then as we head back to the track, we're going to notice as we go along, the track eventually ends, and this just turns into sea nothingness. That's where the track would continue to where the bushes are. Obviously, we're not going to be seeing anything over there. If we want to see that, we're going to have to move to the DP simulation route that covers the East Coast Main Line. I think it's northwest, East Coast Main Line northwest, I believe. It does cover that entire route, plus another route branching off. Before we actually get to York. So that's the Peterborough to York route. There actually is a Peterborough to York route also on Steam, so I believe that's a different manifestation of this same route as well. I think there are two different versions of the route. So we're in a 125 mile per hour speed limit. We're not going to get up to that on this stretch given we are at the northern terminus of the route. So we're not going to get anywhere near that. We have to also slow down before we get to the station. So we're going to have to plan our braking carefully around this, because this train does not slow down very fast at about half braking power. It doesn't slow down very fast. You have to really put on a heavy brake, and there's a good possibility of wheel slip if you need to try and slow down really quickly. Train over there, that is a service going to York. I have my data of bridges and stuff available today. I didn't make notes for this far away from Peterborough, so I don't have anything beyond a mile away from the station. The last thing I've noted is the Hearn Road footbridge, which is at mile 77 along the route. That's the first thing I'm going to try to point out here. So I don't have the rest of the information indicated here. We also need to start worrying about slowing down in the moment, so let's go ahead and start worrying about that. I'll take the throttle down at this point. This is a good time to start the brake. We're coming up on 9/10 of a mile away from the station. This, I believe, is the aforementioned footbridge, or it may be Hearn Road itself. Looks like the overline bridge for Hearn Road. And then the Spidal Bridge is going to be crossing us. S-P-I-T-A-L, the Spidal Bridge. I need a little heavier brake here, so we're going to put that on for a moment. Actually, for a little more heavier than that. I'm not going to get down in time, I don't think. So this is the Spidal Bridge. My speed will be down in time at this stage. Yep, I made it down. Perfect. So I'm going to do a minor brake application to get the train started slowing down now. 42% should do the job. If I end up coming in too slowly, I'll take the brakes off and just coast a little further before finishing the stop. Which it looks like I need to do now. So I'm going to go ahead and coast for a moment, but just a small brake application so the speed keeps coming down. Going to increase that again now. Take it back off, because I think I really increased it a little early there. We should be able to stop before the end of the platform no matter what we do now. Even if I miss a little bit, I should be okay. Okay, we are at the end of the platform. That's what we want to do. So arrival at Peterborough, platform number 3. Doors are open. Boarding for King's Cross. Leaving Peterborough, our next stop and only stop on this journey is London King's Cross. As we were leaving, we were in a 30-mile-per-hour segment, but by the time we cleared the platform, we had entered a 25-mile-per-hour junction. So now we are going to enter a 105. We're going to go ahead and crank this thing up to full speed. Away we go. We're going to be going from 105 into a 115. By the way, we should note that we are crossing a couple of viaducts here. The first viaduct was the Oundle Road Viaduct, O-U-N-D-L-E. The second was the Peterborough Viaduct. So those are very, very noticeable viaducts that I feel I need to point out there. There's going to be an underlined bridge for Oundle Road later on. We may or may not notice it, but it's very, very close. Actually, we already went past it because I have no idea what these are. We're now entering the 115 speed limit in just a moment. We're in the countryside, so a lot of the roads and bridges you're going to see, I don't have real concrete data on in terms of what they're called. So feel free to look it up if you're curious what some of the structures are. So now we are 40 miles away from our new speed limit of 115 miles per hour. I don't think we're going to reach that though, because there is a 100 mile per hour section up ahead. Fair warning, by the way, this is my second take of this scenario right now. Because what I found as I was driving along is I suddenly found myself in a 15 mile per hour speed limit. I believe this is a bug on the route because there is no sign for the 15. It's a very, very brief 15. I didn't notice if we have to cross a junction or what happens there, but we just suddenly end up at a 15 for no real reason. So in order to meet the speed requirement and not end up penalized for speeding, you have to slow down for that 15. But I would not blame anyone who edits the scenario file to remove that 15 mile per hour speed limit. Or to remove the penalties for speeding in that area. I would not blame anyone for doing that. Of course, this means you have to then replace the scenario file with the new one, which is a complicated procedure I'm not going to get into right now. Now start easing the throttle back, knowing that we have a 100 mile per hour speed limit coming up. We're passing another overline bridge here. We should be coming up shortly on the first notable thing here, the second notable thing here, the Yaxley Load Viaduct. I'm about to speed. Let's not speed. Yeah, let's make sure we can see the decimal at all times here. That'll make sure we don't have a problem. So here comes the Yaxley Load Crossing. I might have missed a whistle board. No, I didn't. I don't see one. I don't even know if I saw that crossing represented, so that's another story completely. I don't know why I didn't see it. However, there is another crossing that I believe is represented here, and that will be the Holme Load Crossing. We're still a small distance away from that, about a mile, but that's the crossing we should see coming up. Holme Load in about a mile. So we're going to watch for a whistle board here to tell us to tune our whistle. My speed was holding nicely at 99.8 miles per hour there for a moment. So we should be seeing a whistle board momentarily, I believe. Did I not see a whistle board? Really? I might just be blind. The Holme crossing is following. That was the Holme Load Crossing. We're going to now see the Holme crossing. That's the Holme crossing. We're at a 125 mile per hour speed limit now. We just crossed the Holme Brook. And we're going to pass the Conington North crossing, which I believe is a barrier controlled crossing coming up. We have a whistle board. So this is Conington North crossing. You can see we are on a constant time loss here on the ETA. I'm hoping that doesn't mean anything, because we do have a nice long stretch where we can go 125 miles per hour without having to flinch down to other speeds. So that should give us a lot of miles covered. If we can cover 15 miles or 20 miles, we're doing that in about 10 minutes at 120 miles per hour. So that's if we were to keep that pace the whole way, we would be at King's Cross in 33 minutes. We have 47. Had a little blip in the audio there for a moment. Not sure what happened there. So the next major feature we're going to see is Huntingdon Station, which is actually about 6 miles away now. So we're going to keep an eye out for Huntingdon Station. So we've now crossed the 120 mile per hour marker, where our speed limit, of course, is 125. Amazing to think how fast some of these trains can go. Now, we saw a crossing there. I don't know what that crossing is, and I don't have any information on my data for today. So I'm going to assume that's a crossing that has since been removed. I didn't get to the data for that train in time, so I'm assuming that's another service to York or Peterborough or something. We're on a slight downhill at this point. I'm going to ease the throttle back to 80% for a moment. Might be going to 60% if I keep gaining speed. I'd rather be at 123, 124 than touching 125 because I don't have the decimal to work with. So it's kind of hard to know exactly where you are. I'm probably going to want to pull it back to 40% throttle at some point as well. So we're now 61 miles from King's Cross. We're going to be coming up on the Huntingdon bypass in about, about 0.2 of a mile. This is the Huntingdon bypass right here. The next overline bridge is going to be Ermine Street. I hit 125, so I cut the throttle down to 0% for a moment. I'm dropping it to 123 before we continue. There we go. I'll move back to 40% now. This is Ermine Street. There's also another footbridge path or something going there as well. Not sure what that was. And Huntingdon Station should be coming up, well, did I just pass it and not notice it? I think I missed it. I think I missed Huntingdon, ladies and gentlemen. We're crossing the Nunsbrook Viaduct. And there's also the Offord Viaduct, which we've crossed all these already. I'm a little bit late on these calls. I apologize. We have a 120 coming up, so I'm going to go ahead and take the throttle off, see if I can drop my speed in time without having to brake. That'd be very nice. Looks like I might be able to do that. There it is. So I'm going to put the 20% throttle back on. Actually, I might have done that early. Let it come down to 119 first. There we go. Now I'll put the 20% throttle on. We're coming to the Offord Crossing. That's what the whistle board is for. The Offord Crossing. It'll be followed shortly after by the Gillis Crossing. Right there. We have a slow train in the other lane here. That is the Peterborough to King's Cross service. So that was a 1926 service apparently, which doesn't make sense given how far we are from Peterborough. So I think the person who set up the scenario probably forgot that the times should be applied to when the service actually starts, not when it actually begins moving in the scenario. In any case, Fairbanks number 1 crossing we did see there. I didn't call it out because we were talking about the train. So we did cross that. The next thing of note is St. Neots Station. That is about 51.73 miles from King's Cross. Now, because we're approaching King's Cross from Peterborough and not the other way around, we're going to see the station coming up maybe 0.3 of a mile earlier. I don't know what that foot crossing was. I forget. I don't have any information on that. Not that I forget. I just don't know what it is. Yeah, because of the what I was just mentioning, going towards King's Cross, our miles mark will be a little bit sooner. You're going to see that we're going to see St. Neots Station on our HUD, and there's the indication. We have it as a waypoint in this case. You're going to probably see it on the HUD around the 52 mile or 52.05 mile marker point. So we'll keep an eye on that as we approach. I believe this is Gallows Brook or Rowley's Lane. I'm not sure. Actually, no, Gallows Brook is the next one. Maybe it was that one. Yeah, this is Rowley's Lane. And that means St. Neots Station is dead ahead. Well, not dead, but here it is. So we're shortly going to see the Browns Road Bridge. That precedes the Love Lane Viaduct. Now, Browns Road Bridge is actually underneath of us. I don't know why it's called a bridge for us, but here's Love Lane Crossing. I shouldn't say viaduct, Love Lane Crossing. Got our speed back to being 2 miles under the speed limit. That's exactly what I want to see right now. The next station will be Sandy Station. It is still some distance away, so I'm not going to worry about that yet. About 5 miles away. I already missed one of the crossings here. I missed the Tempsford crossing, and here's the Everton crossing. Sandy is now about 2... Whoa, let's watch our speed. Sandy is now about 2 miles away. Just before we cross the station area, we're going to cross under Cambridge Road. And that's going to take us into the station. So Saw the sign. That's the 40 junction speed limit to move the slow lines. Doesn't apply to us. So I believe this is Cambridge Road as we enter the station. We got another slow train here. Peterborough to King's Cross. Again, it left Peterborough in 1934. Yep, that makes sense. This is the Unsels crossing. We're now entering the Biggleswade area. There's a number of overlying bridges here, starting with Potton Road, which I believe might be this one. Then Sun Street, which we're passing under now. Here is Stratton Street. And Back Street. Biggleswade Station. We now have a series of crossings. And these are the last crossings on the route, so we're going to keep an eye out and try to catch them if we can for all of them here. The first one is going to be the Smarts crossing. See if we have a whistle board for that. Yes, we do. So the Smarts crossing, actually that was one we crossed. This is the Primrose crossing. We're then going to have the Holme Green crossing, which I think we just crossed. Langford Road crossing. This is East Road crossing. And finally, the Jiggs Lane crossing is the next and final crossing on the entire route. There's the whistle board for it. That's our last crossing, Jiggs Lane crossing. We are now going to just see bridges and occasional roads underneath the rest of the way. We're also going to see R.R.L Station very, very shortly. Here is coming up right now. Not yet, apparently. Hitchin is the next station. We have 5.5 miles before we see it. But we have to start slowing our speed by about 34 miles out, I want to say. By the way, I don't know what this whistleboard crossing is. I have no information on this crossing. Based on the location, my best guess is that it's the Coop footbridge. But it was the footbridge crossing did not actually exist at the time this DLC was done. So that's my guess. I'm guessing it's the Coop footbridge turned in its former crossing form. So that may be a new footbridge. So I'm getting to the point I need to consider starting to slow down. I'm going to work on that in a second here. I have gone ahead and idled the throttle. Okay, we're going to start braking now. I'm going to use a 42% brake. You can see the alert right there. But it's on a different track. It's not on our track. So that's why I'm a little puzzled as to why I had to deal with it. Because it didn't look like it was related to what I was doing. I moved to a 57% brake for now. Because we're almost a mile into the section here. It does take a while to get your speed down in terms of distance. You're going to see my ETA just start shooting up all of a sudden. Again, there's nothing I can do about that. I have to get the speed down for this temporary speed restriction. So my ETA is going to unfortunately shoot up. Hopefully I'm not affected in the end. As you can see, I've eased off the brake a bit, but I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to go down to 85% brake now. I'm going to regret not having done that sooner, I think. ETA has suddenly adjusted, so I'm doing good for ETA now. The sign is up there somewhere. I'm actually down a little early, so I'm going to actually speed up a little bit to get a little closer. Let's zoom in so we can see the sign coming in. We'll brake for that. You can see the sign actually up ahead right before Hitchin. So I'm going to hold for 20 for a moment, then I'm going to bring it down to 15. I came down a little bit early, but it's better that than speeding into it at 35 or 40 miles per hour because you didn't brake quickly enough. So there's the 15. I am down in time for the 15. Again, I don't know why we're being put on this TSR. I see nothing going on. Just a guy off to the right with doing some work with dirt. I don't see anything else indicating why we have a TSR here. So I'm a little annoyed. But at least the ETA accounts for it, which is important. And now the ETA is starting to go up very, very quickly again. I'm still stuck in the 15. So I have to try to get out of this one quickly. Notice the other train slowed down too, so it does cover the entire area. There's the T. So we're finally going to be able to start moving up fast again in a moment. And now we're passing Hitchin. So you can see that the temporary speed restriction is right before Hitchin. As soon as I can speed up again, I'm doing it. I'm flirting with it here. It's probably going to be when we're fully into Hitchin that we can finally start speeding up again. There it is. You just saw a We Are Rail Fans sign over on the billboard, rather, over on the other platform to the right. I'm not sure who those people are. I'm going to try to find out because I want to know. Like, I don't know if Natalie or Sam or who those people are on there, but I'm assuming it was from 8 years ago. JD might be in there, Steve might be in there. He's been there for a while. Now the good news about this area is that our ETA is still showing a 2009 and decreasing at this moment. So this is very, very good. It means that the timing did take this into account. I'm happy to see that. And as it stands right now, everything is looking good for our progressing to King's Cross, platform number 3 today. The time is reducing as we speed up. So it does account for us having to get back up to speed. That's very good to see. Like I said, with the exception of one timing in one of the scenarios, I haven't had an issue with too many of the timings in these scenarios. So I'm actually quite pleased to see that was taken into consideration here. Now, I do have to remember that we do have another slow down, I think it's Broomsgate Park or whatever that name of that station is. I'm not sure offhand right now. I know I got the name wrong. I guarantee you I have the name wrong. No, Brookmans Park. Brookmans Park. Yeah, I got it. Brookmans Park. So there is another slowdown 14.46 miles away from King's Cross is when that will be. So you can still go for about 15 miles right now at fairly reasonable speeds. That's good news for us. So where are we right now? We're now exactly 30 miles from King's Cross. Excellent. So at some point we'll be crossing Stevenage Road, which is interesting because the next station is going to be Stevenage. I don't know what this overline bridge is. One of them is Wymondley Bypass. Wymondley Bypass. I'm probably saying that wrong. Wymondley? About 28.5 miles from King's Cross. It means we're coming up on Bridge Road right now. Checkers Bridge Road is going to be the next one we cross at 27.93. That'll be going over us, so you can see the bridge right up there. That bridge means we're coming close to Stevenage. We're going to cross over Fairlands Way shortly after this bridge, and then we're going to enter Stevenage. Or it might even be at Stevenage that we cross over that Fairlands Way. So here is Stevenage Station. The next station of note is Nebworth. That's at 25.04 miles away from London King's Cross. I also find it interesting that they keep abbreviating it to King's Cross they keep abbreviating it rather to King's Cross in the text, but it's actually called London King's Cross. So interesting that they keep abbreviating it. So I believe Nebworth Line, we just passed over Nebworth Line. I see another slow train up ahead. Hun to Mog. Hun to Mog. Oh, now I'm going to have to research that. That's interesting. I think Hun would be Huntingdon. Yeah, Huntingdon it is. We have a 115 coming up, so I'm going to cut my throttle now since I'm already at 115. Okay, I'm not sure what Mog is. I'm going to assume Mog is Moorgate, so I'm assuming that's the Huntington to Moorgate service. Moorgate, of course, is not on our DLC, so that train, if it does continue behind us, will veer off to Drayton Park and then over into a portal where it will go towards Moorgate. But because we passed the train at this point, it may very well just disappear at some point as well. I assume it's going to keep running in the slow lane, or it's going to be forced to wait for us because we have reservation on the fast lane. So I assume it would wait for us anyway. So that means it's probably going to portal out behind us for that reason. Because we're going to get miles away from it. They could just portal out of existence. Fortunately for me, I did not gain any speed, and I actually did drop to 115. That's excellent to see. I didn't look at the sign again after I said we needed to set our speed, and thankfully the speed on the train did what it was supposed to. The downhill did not affect us. So now we're down to 114. I never even caught wind that we were entering our first tunnels. That first tunnel was the Wellwood North Tunnel, and we just went through the Wellwood South Tunnel, I believe. So now we're going through Wellwood North at this point. Station. Those were our first tunnels on the route, so there you go. Didn't even catch that. Now we're heading towards Wellwood Garden City. The slow lanes have what they're going to reemerge if they haven't already. I think they're both there now. Wellwood Garden City is marked as 20.31 miles away from London King's Cross. We ended our first service here. We started our second service here, heading back to King's Cross. So this is the fast version of that service now with no stops. Now, because we know there's going to be a slowdown coming up in 3 stations from now, Hatfield is our next station, about a little less than 3 miles away from Wellwood Garden City. We're then going to find our way to Welham Green, which is another couple miles away. And then we're going to find our way to Brookmans Park. So Brookmans Park is the 14.46 mile area. We're going to need to slow down for the temporary speed restrictions somewhere in that area. I don't know exactly where. But I'm probably going to do I'm going to give you a flyby at Hatfield to give me a little bit of time in case I need to adjust my footage here again. In case I make a mistake, then I can just clip it in. So I'm going to give you a view at Hatfield as we go by. Speaking of that, we're about a mile away from Hatfield. St. Albans Road will be going over us as we enter Hatfield. So again, the next station we're going to be seeing is Welham Green. And our speed restriction is going to be after that. So we're going to need to start slowing down before Welham Green, I believe. For that reason, I've taken the throttle down to 0 now. Now the speed restriction is a 30 mile per hour. So I'm watching for the warning boards to tell us to get our speed down. I have not seen them yet. Just in case I miss them, I'm going to go ahead and start slowing down now. Actually, there might be one right there. No, I lied. That's a different speed sign. We're going to bring that speed down quickly now. I don't know why I just did that. That was Welham Green, by the way. Now our ETA, we actually gained time very nicely there. So I'm actually okay slowing down right now. This is going to give me a chance to keep an eye out on what's going on up ahead. I actually might have slowed down a little early, which is a little annoying. So I'm putting a little bit of speed back on temporarily. I'm starting to gain time on the ETA again. This is not a good situation. So I've zoomed in the view a little bit here just to get a view of the sign coming in. That way we know where the restriction begins. I see a yellow sign, I think, over there. So I'm going to start slowing down now and get it down to 30 officially. Yep, that was the temporary speed restriction sign. So I have done this correctly. I just did it a little early, that's all. So this is a 30 temporary speed restriction. We now have to... Oh, that was the warning sign for the 30. I was way too early. Okay, that is good to see. That is excellent to see. Looks like that's the repeater board for the 30 speed restrictions. So if a driver stopping forgot, then they would be able to be reminded that there was a previous temporary speed restriction they must remember is still coming. Since I stupidly slowed down very early, I'm just going to go ahead and crawl here. Because why not, right? I'm going to increase a little speed just to take advantage of the fact that I'm stupid. This is what you do when you're stupid. I kind of want to know where this restriction actually starts. We still have 15 minutes to get to London King's Cross, and we will have time to go at fast speed again, so I'm not too concerned. It's just a matter of where this TSR now begins. I think I see a yellow sign up there, so that's probably where it is. I'm going to plan to slow down by that yellow sign. It is before the green signal. We're down in time. There's the 30. So I'm going to zoom back out as we pass it. We're now under the 30 at about 13.51 miles to go to London King's Cross. And right away, there's a termination of it. Look at that. Look at that. That was it right there. Just that bridge. And we can already go up to 115 again. Well, there you go. I gave them lots of time, that's for sure. So we're going to start seeing more tunnels, but we have a couple more stations first. We're going to see, well, one station. We're going to see Potter's Bar, of course, because we know that's next from the warning. And then we're going to start entering some more tunnels as we go by additional stations. I have about... a record of about 7 tunnels up to London King's Cross, 5 of them in very close proximity, and then 2 obviously going into London King's Cross itself. We have a 100 mile per hour speed limit coming up. So that was Potter's Bar, obviously. We're only at 70 right now, so we're not going to panic and look for the brake because we don't have to. So this first tunnel is the Potter's Bar tunnel. It's 0.69 miles, 0.69 miles. Thank you for not giggling. It is actually the longest tunnel on the route. The next longest is the Welwyn North Tunnel. Now with that said, these tunnels up at the station, they actually are shorter. They're only 0.3 and 0.34 miles respectively. So this is the longest tunnel on the route. Now I'm not including the route past Peterborough. There may be additional tunnels past Peterborough as you head to Doncaster, but I'm looking on the this version of the route, the train simulator version of the route from 2013, when I say it's the longest tunnel on the route. It's the longest of the 9 tunnels that are depicted in this DLC. There may be longer tunnels as you go towards Doncaster and York. And obviously up to Newcastle as well, though I don't remember any long ones up to Newcastle, so I don't know. As you see, this is Hadley Wood Station. We're going to go next by New Barnet. We're entering the Hadley Wood South Tunnel. We just went through the Hadley Wood North Tunnel, so now we're in the Hadley Wood South Tunnel. We're going to be coming, like I said, next upon New Barnet. Going to ease the throttle down because we don't want to speed, so let's keep it under 100. We're actually gaining speed at 20, which is a little unfortunate. We can't hold our speed like we can in the 125. So we're going to keep gaining speed, it looks like. Let me drop the throttle just down to 0 for a moment. We're going to put it back on for a notch to see what happens. Here is New Barnet. A bridge for Longmore Avenue is going to be crossed by a viaduct right now, so we're going to cross that on a viaduct. Then we're going to find Oakley Park a little further ahead, not marked on the HUD it looks like. So this is Oakley Park. Within a mile, we're going to be entering the Barnet Tunnel. You can see it up ahead, the Barnet Tunnel. The Barnet Tunnel is 0.35 miles in length. I just hit 100, so I'm going to bring it down since I don't want to lose the decimal. We also have a 95 speed limit coming up anyway, so I will need to bring the speed down anyway. We're going to be coming momentarily upon New Southgate. And at New Southgate, the Hertford Loop is going to rejoin us between there and Alexandra Palace, as I mentioned in previous scenarios. I find it interesting that we haven't taken any scenarios along the Hertford Loop line. This is New Southgate. So I wonder if the Hertford Loop line has not been fully scenaried and is therefore not utilized in scenario use. I'm going to put a small brake on because I'm going to need it there. So there we are. This is the Wood Green Tunnel, 0.4 of a mile in length. As we emerge from there, we'll be about 0.3 of a mile from the back entrance, our entrance to Alexandra Palace Station, maybe 0.4 of a mile. So about as long as that tunnel to get to the station now. And the Hertford Loop line is now joining us. We're now going to go through Alexandra Palace Station. There it is. There's a train going to stop there in the slow lanes. A little bit of a good flyby shot. I was thinking about it. But we have a 90 up ahead, so I'm going to slow for that instead. We're now within 5 miles of King's Cross, so we want to make sure we don't butcher the rest of the journey here. We have 7 minutes to get there. That's plenty of time, especially at this speed. At this speed, we'll be there in 3 minutes, but of course we're going to slow down to a 15 at some point anyway, so we have to keep that in mind too. The station here is, the station here is Hornsey. We're going to be passing by Haringey in just a moment. You can see the 80 up ahead and then the 65, so we are just letting the throttle idle at this point. We're going to brake as we need to. That's a warning, I believe, for the 65. Might have been for the 80, actually. I'm inclined to think it was for the 65. I didn't see any kind of yellow signal. Yeah, we definitely have a green signal. Here comes Finsbury Park. That means London King's Cross is the next station we come across. And it is our terminus, and it is where we stop. The line to Moorgate is going to take off to the left momentarily. Because we have lots of time, I'm going ahead and lowering my speed to 60 now for the next speed limit sign. Because we have gained some good time on this journey, it looks like. And knowing my luck, there'll be a red signal ahead. We got 4 signals to the Gasworks Tunnel. We're now just under 2 miles away from King's Cross. We'll be crossing Hornsey Road via an underlined bridge here. Then we're going to go on to the arches viaducts that we have before King's Cross. The overline bridge is Caledonian Road. We are going to have a red because our path is not set yet. I can see this. So we do have a clear aspect according to the repeater, but that does include yellows. So I'm going to put a decent brake application on, knowing that we have a double yellow before we enter the Gasworks Tunnel. So we need to hit the brakes for that. Also, this is the Copenhagen tunnel that we just went through, and now we're coming up into the... is that really 2 tunnels? Okay. This is the Gasworks Tunnel, I believe, right here. So I'm down at 25 for now. I should not have a red signal here yet, I don't think, but I very well could. Let's, yeah, I have a yellow right now, so let's not brake anymore for the time being. That's the warning for the yellow. It is a single yellow, so we're going to have 2 signals before the station at this point. That just turned green, so the next signal will be a double yellow. The following signal will be a regular yellow, unless it's actually just a double yellow or single yellow up ahead. That could be a possibility. So we may have one more signal that's still red up ahead. There's our warning for the 15. Or it might have been for the yellow signal. Yeah, I knew I was going to be a little early when I saw what was happening at the temporary speed restriction for the ETA. I knew we were going to be early. So I'm down to 15. I'm going to actually drop a little under 15 right now because I want to see if we have a red signal up ahead. I want to make sure I have full control over stopping at if I need to. Actually, never mind. We are going to probably have a yellow now because King's Cross Platform 3 is now showing up on the HUD. It is now open. Open for business. We could still have a red signal. There could be another train leaving ahead of us, but as I look ahead, I can't tell. I honestly can't tell. That's a shunt signal. We are being permitted in by that shunt signal. So it looks like we are clear to proceed into London King's Cross platform number 3. And we have lots of time for this stop. So when we pull into the station, I'm going to go ahead and do the end change procedure. And once the end change is completed, that's going to be when we get to pull out. So as you can see, we're going to have a 2-minute wait here anyway. We have to wait an additional 2 minutes because of when we're coming in right now. So it could be a 3.5 minute wait depending when we stop. That's why I'm slowing down right now a little bit extra, just to make sure we have a little bit less of wait time. I'm going to cut that out for you anyway, but I have to still deal with it. Then we're going to leave for the depot. We're going to have 14 minutes to get to the depot. I have no idea where this is, so this is going to be an adventure for me. I'm going to concentrate on getting the entire train into the station past the signal at the end of the platform. So if I head to the back of the train, you'll see that's not the back of the train. This is the back of the train. You'll see eventually, hello, thank you very much. You'll eventually see a signal coming at the end of the platform. We'll worry about that later. For right now, who is this at the station? It is 1930 Stevenage to King's Cross. That's plausible. So I am coming a little slowly, but I'm not going to go all the way to the buffer because I am leaving right away. So we should be passing the end of station signal momentarily. That's the point at which I can hit the brakes. That train's just leaving right now. Look at that. Beauty. He's off to DEE, whatever that is. I'm stopping right now because there's no need to go all the way in. So arrival at King's Cross, London King's Cross. I'm going to leave the brakes partially applied. I'm going to move the reverser out. Reverser, I said go down. Headlights are going off. I'm going to change cabs. I don't think there's anything else I need to do on this side, so we're going to bring this up. Change cabs. We have a red signal as we should at this point because there's a train leaving as we pulled in. We're going to go ahead and turn our headlights on this side. Are there instrument lights? No, there aren't. I keep forgetting. But we're all done with our setup now, so we're going to wait to leave after our passengers finish disembarking. I'll see you on the other side of that. Back with you in the cab of the HST. We're waiting our book departure time from King's Cross. You saw me take the brakes off because I wanted to be ready to go. Let's put the reverser up as well. I closed that box a little bit early, but I actually read that message already, and it's a little confusing. We're on our way to Bounds Green Depot, but then it makes it sound like we're going to be doing stuff at Bounds Green Depot after we arrive. It's basically telling us we're going to go by the slow line now on our way to Bounds Green Depot. So the grammar made that a little hard to read, so I'm just going to explain it to you instead of reading that. We are going to be taking some very slow lines to Bounds Green Depot. Now the first question you're probably going to ask is, Cyclone, where is Bounds Green Depot? To be honest with you, I technically have no idea either because it's not on this route at all that we've taken. But I'm going to show you, as we pull into the map and we continue along here, you're going to see that the Hertford Loop goes off there, and that, right there, is where Bowes Park R.R.L. is. Then we're going to do something else coming back over here to finish the scenario. So that's what our task is going to be. So we're entering a 45 mile per hour segment, but we are going to also be moving to a 35, which I believe is a junction speed limit. So we have to abide by the 35 because that will be the lower speed limit. We're going to be getting to that shortly after we finish entering the 45, so we're not really going to be able to get up to 45. There is another 45 after that. I expect because we're on some non-main lines that we're going to probably have some yard speeds going on around this area. So even though we only have 5.5 miles to get to Bowes Park, I don't think we're going to be there very quickly. We have 13 minutes to do this for a reason. There's the 45, so I'm going to get up to at least 35 right now. Just like that, we're in the 35. I only got to 20. So I've eased off the throttle a little bit, but I'm going to try to still keep it coming up to 35 because we don't have any downhills up ahead. So I want to get our full speed if we can. We're actually entering a 45, so I'm going to keep pushing to 45 now. But you can see up ahead, while there is a 55, by the time we fully enter the 55, we're going to have to get ourselves down to 15. So we're going to treat the 15 speed limit as God here because, well, that's the one that can get us fired. I almost sped, ladies and gentlemen. I caught it just in time. And that train had some weird vibrations. I don't know. There's a yellow signal behind it, by the way, which is hilarious. So I'm going to treat this as a slowdown sign, not as a 55. There's the warning for the 15. We are getting one in the cab as well, as you heard, from an AWS ramp. So down to 15 we go. I'm going to ease off the brakes now because we are doing very well coming down on our speed. But we still need to slow down a little bit. So easing it off for a moment. I try and let it drop naturally on its own, but it probably will need a little bit more of a brake boost. In fact, I'll give it that boost now. We're down under 15, so we're good to go. So yeah, instead of routing us through the station, which is where we have been going all this time, we're now being routed onto the slow line over here. You can see there's a major downhill gradient coming up and an uphill to follow. So we're going to have to manage our speed inside this gradient. The hardest part of any scenario, especially if you're driving without the HUD, which would be, like this, would be trying to manage your speed on those gradients, especially a slow speed. Running a slow speed on a gradient is like flipping a coin. You have to be very, very careful to make sure that you judge the gradient correctly and make the right throttle or brake applications. Otherwise, you can easily find yourself in a spot where you're going too slow or where you're speeding. Maintaining the right speed is a challenge. I've been gaining speed on a 14% brake, so there you go. That train going along next to us, by the way, you can see it's a service for Stevenage coming from Moorgate. That's what MOG is, I believe. Moorgate, again, is not on our route, but Stevenage most definitely is. Moorgate is 3 stations beyond Drayton Park at the terminus. Getting our speed low enough, I'll give you a quick look at the map here. Here's Drayton Park right here. Moorgate is in this direction. There's Canonbury or whatever that is. So we're on another 50% gradient, but this time it's an uphill gradient, so we're going to go ahead and reapply speed. Looks like he's been cleared to go, so he's going. So we're taking Finsbury Park Station down goods. We're entering a 40-mile-per-hour segment, but we're not able to speed up yet, so let's ease the throttle back. That train is now making a stop at Finsbury Park, the one that was going to Stevenage. And take the throttle to idle for a moment because we're at 15.3. We're letting it drop. And back up a notch, trying to get ready for this 40. Nope, too much, too much. .40 is now accessible. So continuing on the down goods line, we're now going to finally get some decent ability to move here. We still have 3.5 miles to go to Bowes Park. Given our arrival time, we have to be there going half a mile every minute. So we need to get ourselves up to whatever kind of 30 plus we can get right now. which means 40 is now necessary. So that suggests to me that 40 is going to be our speed for most of the rest of the journey here, or so I would imagine. There may be a faster speed still coming up as well. So I've eased the throttle off at 39.7. If I go to a 20% throttle, which is the first notch, I'm noticing that we are going to still gain speed, so let's not push our chances on that. We're going to continue via the firm park down slow line. If you're wondering exactly what that is, well, you see the line joining us right now? This is why it's called the firm park down slow line. That line joining us is probably the reason. It's coming from Crouch Hill. Are we red up ahead? We are red. Am I reading that wrong? No, we've agreed. Okay. I saw signals for the other line. I thought they were my signals. So I was a little confused for a moment. We're on a little bit of a downhill, so I'm going to keep a small brake application for a moment just to control. There's a service going to Stevenage. We did see that's the one that actually made the stop. We saw that one earlier. So there actually were a lot of trains at King's Cross as well, so there might still be some AI going by to King's Cross, or from King's Cross as well, as some additional AI going to King's Cross. Again, probably trains we saw in the slow lane already. So we've probably already seen all these services. We're under 2 miles to go to Bowes Park. We are still doing okay for time at the moment. We are going to have to slow down to 30 up ahead. That's because Alexander Palace is where we're going to veer off and find our way going through all these tracks somehow to get across to Bowes Park, which is not very far on into the Hertford Loop. One last burst up to 40, and then we're going to have to bring the speed down. Okay, drop now. A little too quickly, I think, on dropping that, so we're going to hold it for a moment as we go through Alexander Palace. We're back on the regular slow line going through platform 4. And this is a regular 30, I believe. This is not just one applied to us, it's a regular 30. Actually, no, this is the apparently the one that goes through the Hertford Loop line. Interesting. This apparently just is platform 4 exclusively for trains going to the Hertford Loop line, from what I can see. So that's curious. And we can see the track has junctioned us off where we need to up ahead. We're losing way too much speed, but we're going to have a downhill into the 15s, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. We're just going to try to maintain for right now a little bit. You see the yellow signal up ahead. We've just been alerted to it. We have 2 minutes to arrive at Bowes Park. We are also going to have to get our speed down to 15 miles per hour. It's a double yellow signal. We're on a bit of a downhill gradient that's actually causing us to gain speed, so we're going to have to be careful with our speed, get our brakes on quickly to come to our stop. We don't have very far to go, so I think the ETA is a little flawed on this one, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. So we are now effectively on the Hertford Loop line. You can see a train over there, Bowes Park Platform 1. So Bowes Park is on the Hertford Loop line. And that's why this is called Bowes Park R.R.L. It's the depot for the Bowes Park station. I almost hit a speeding there. Okay, the downhill is still trying to push me. Look at the end of the line. That's a heck of a drop suddenly right into the buffer. If you go too fast, you're hitting that buffer on that sudden downhill. That's interesting. So the ETA says 2027. It's only 2025. We're going to ignore that. We are fully in the orange, so I'm going to come to a stop. You can see the buffer is up there. I don't have to open any doors or anything. I'm just going to change caps at this point, I believe. So let's go ahead and start doing that. Headlights off, reverser, get down. Thank you. Quiet. Cab change again. We're going to put the reverser back up. We're going to start taking this brake off. Put these headlights on, and let's go again. Yep, did that. Wait for the signal to enter bound screen depot. Remember to watch your speed as you enter the depot, as it is a steep descent into the yard. We already got our signal, so we're going. They tell you to wait, but the way the game is set up, you already have your signal. So 30, 20, 10. There you go. That's what we have to work with. 30, 20, 10 up ahead. Thank you. So the train that was in the station, that's probably why we have to wait for the signal. But since the train already took off, we don't really have any waiting to do. We can just go. We're going to have to get this train down to 10 for our stop. That's why we're given 5 minutes to do this, ladies and gentlemen. By the time we fully enter the 30, we're going to have to go 10. So those speed limits you're seeing don't mean a bloody thing. It's a darn shame. So we're now allowed to go 30 miles per hour. We can actually go 20 technically right now, apparently. Funny thing is, even though we're not allowed to go 30, we're already in the 20. So now we're under the 10 mile per hour speed limit. Anything beyond that yellow line means nothing, so we're zoomed in now on the yellow line, as we should be. We're being told it's a steep descent in the yard. It indeed is. 1 in 33. Look at this. Look at this. That's going to be a challenging stop. I'm going to take the train as far as I can until I get near the end of the depot area. And when I say it that way, because I want to use as much of the time as I can to get into the depot. but I may not be able to fully make it to the end depending on the time. It looks like to me I should be able to. Yeah, this steep descent is really starting to affect the middle of the train now, so I have to watch. Even though it says I'm on level ground, that's only the engine that's on level ground. I'm still gaining speed because the train is on the descent. Keep that in mind as well. If any part of your train's on the descent, you're going to gain speed. So I'm trying to go as far into the depot as I can. That's the objective. Looks like I'm going to get all the way in. The train is completely within the depot. I'm just going to take a little further to where the end of that train is, and that's where I'm going to go ahead and stop, because that's where the red signals are. Actually, red signals are outside the depot, so we'll just stop right here. That's good enough. Arrival at Bounds Green Depot. Let's look at the train. Turns out I did that perfectly, because I have to be able to get out of the train, and I would be getting out on the right door right now. So if I went a little further, I couldn't even leave the train. So I did that perfectly on second thought, and I'm happy about that. So let's go ahead and wait for this to finish. Well, that was quick. We're done, and I have an achievement which I'm going to tell you about in just a moment. So let's go to the menu screen, and the scoring screen rather, and we'll take a look at it. Back to Bounds Green is complete. And the scenario, I'm going to ignore, or the achievement rather, I'm going to ignore the fact they all start East Coast Mainline South, by the way, from now on. But the achievement was just northbound. That's what it was called. I'm not sure because we were going south, so I don't know why it's called northbound. And as you can imagine, it has to do with doing the scenario. Basically, complete the scenario. There's no scoring goal or anything else. Just complete the achievement. That's all you have to do. So we've completed the achievement, or complete the scenario rather. We complete the scenario, that therefore completes the achievement. Done. You can get 0, you'll still get the achievement. Doesn't matter. It's a long scenario, they give you an achievement for completing a long scenario. It was also the most adventurous 3 hours I've had in a while, because I started this scenario before 3 hours ago. And the fact that the TSR, the temporary speed restriction at Hitchin, right before Hitchin, is not announced. It's not in a briefing anywhere. There's no knowledge of it. The fact that there's no information on that makes that a little bit annoying, because I came upon that the first time. I didn't know it was there. I was suddenly minus 693. So make sure you're aware there is that temporary speed restriction right before Hitchin. You have to get down to 15. You are required to do so. If you don't, you will take a massive, massive penalty. Other than that, the rest of the scenario went as expected. Other than the fact that my second try I saved too close and couldn't get down in time even from a save game, so I had to do it a third time. And then by then I was annoyed my play was being screwed up constantly, so I couldn't even concentrate at that point. So I'm happy I just finished the scenario, because that's 3 hours I have now to spend on this thing. You're going to see it, of course, in just the hour 15 minutes, or hour 3 minutes, whatever it takes to complete the journey. That's all you're going to see. But other than that, we're done this scenario, and I'm going to have to start editing it. So have yourself a wonderful day, evening, or night, whatever it is for you, your part of the world. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We are going to see another scenario next time. I think the next scenario is, I think both of them are actually Peterborough to, let's look at the menu for a second. Okay, just checking right now. In a Hurry is the one we're doing next time. An evening passenger service from London King's Cross to Peterborough. So it's actually the other direction. We're joining the service at Biggleswade, so we're going to be joining halfway along the journey. That means that is also not another journey along the Hertford Loop line, so we're not using that route. And then the staff train is Peterborough to King's Cross, but again, I don't know if we're using the Hertford Loop line because there's a staff center along there, or if we're going to be skipping that entire thing. I do not know. Since both of them are going to be using, especially the staff train, if the staff train uses the exact same route, what I might do is I might just grab the Armstrong Powerhouse enhancement. I might swap that train in. I'm just thinking as to which day this is. I think this is a Friday video. So I think you're going to get In a Hurry tomorrow if I'm doing that math correctly. And then the staff train would be on Tuesday. We're going to hold off on doing the 801 stuff. I already mentioned that we're going to put these off for later. And of course the 91 is going to be separate as well, because it's a separate DLC. And way up here we have the 321, which I have to figure out what route that introduces on before I bring it here. So I'm going to introduce that on another route, and then we'll do these scenarios. which are short ones by the looks of it. And then the 180 is another separate set as well. So we're going to look at all those scenarios later. But what we are doing right now is in a hurry. That's the next scenario. I'll see you next time for that. This video is long enough. Make sure you stay tuned for the next video if you do want to keep watching, though, on my playlist. It'll be up in 3, 2, 1.